Welcome back to McKinley for our winter update. A lot has changed since we gave you the spring update at the beginning of this year. I'd wished for more, but actually what we've got to is quite good. So we're going to take you around the significant changes and what lies ahead for the next 6 months. The most obvious addition to this layout is the arrival of Wakefield. Here it is in all its glory. And I put a lonesome wagon and a Class 37 locomotive on here just so you get some idea of perspective. The beauty about this particular part of the layout is it came in on Friday morning. It was installed, as you see here now, by Friday afternoon. I mean, there's been another couple of days of some woodworking here and there. But ostensibly, it's just a fantastic thing if you have the space to be able to build it somewhere else so that you've got the flexibility of turning it upside down this way and that way. What you see here has already been tested. All the looms over on the other side of this wall have all been pre-checked. So getting it working should be a doddle. We're going to do a couple of videos on the installation and the next phases of the work on Wakefield. Another thing that's come to light as we were installing Wakefield, and I'd seen it with Sheffield, was to do with lighting. The lighting as we installed it, we didn't know what we were going to be putting in this room we did it, and it's fundamentally in the wrong places. I have a lot of this valance lighting over there, and it shines out from the rear. So when you're looking at an engine number at the front, the light's coming from behind, which is wrong. And so we're going to move all this tracking system out to be above the front of the boards around the room. And that's going to happen this winter as well. What that will do is transform what operators can see, because that's quite crucial. These numbers are never particularly visible on the outsides of locomotives. So that's one key aspect. Another thing that we've also been experimenting with is, as you can see here, we have the display panel mount up here. That's going to hold the control panel and the freight manager screen, and possibly even the station manager iPad, but we might integrate the two screens there. Getting this at the right height is quite interesting actually. If you think about it, the operator, the center of this board coming to their eyesight and then being able to reach, not fully extended, but partly extended. And where's the right height? Because we've got operators that are 6'2" and some operators that are 5'6" and a bit. Got two of them. And so getting it in a compromised position where they can all touch it, seal it, is quite crucial. This is our second attempt at this, and we'll see how that works, and you'll get an update on that. The other physical addition to the layout is that the Doncaster wine rack has finally arrived. Chateau Doncaster, that's what we're going to call it. It's where engines are going to live in relation to the time machine. A lot of them will be on their trains down here. But because we've got 3 engine sheds here, there will always be more engines than there are trains. And this has arrived, and we're going to be doing a dedicated video that talks about the purposes of Chateau Doncaster. That should be fun, shouldn't it? One of the things that happens when we have to get ready for doing the videos is we go around in a blind panic for 3 weeks, tidying things up, finding all kinds of things in obscure corners. And by about the second week of prep, I'm then beginning to wonder the value of these things. And then I reassure myself and say, it's absolutely crucial that we do this, because if we don't, we'll live in a perpetual state of chaos. And the second thing is you have no deadlines to meet. And so what you see here now is probably the cleanest this railway has been for the last 6 months. And it's a delight. For just 3 days of the year, I get to walk around a beautiful railway. I get asked a lot by people the simple question, how do I stop my layout coming to a halt when we have a short circuit, i.e. power management? And there are 2 aspects to that, the right configuration of boosters and also protecting your layout from short circuits. And I'm going to do a dedicated video that shows how we go about it here on McKinley and generalizing it down onto Wakefield for how you would also protect a medium-sized layout from random short circuits at odd ends and being able to identify where they are. So that's the plan for that. We've also started to populate Hades, and we'll do some sweeping shots here showing that some of the lines are now getting quite full up. In fact, the video you're going to see of it, cleaned up by the way, will show that. We're going to do a dedicated video talking about the principles of Hades and how it fits into the time machine. That's worth expanding on now because you can see what we've actually built and how it's going to be populated. As a reminder, when we talk about the time machine and Hades, one of the principal or founding ideas that I have about McKinley is we're going to operate this railway from 1956, when it was entirely steam, all the way through to 1975, when the HST started to come out. It was blue-grey and it was British Rail. And it's that 20-year intervening period that we want to run our trains. To allow operators to run trains during that period, you've obviously got to have blood and custard coaches, maroon coaches and blue-grey coaches. Well, where do they all live? So the time machine is running the railway over a year's period of operating, starting then and finishing then. And all the trains will live downstairs in Hades here. And the reason we called it Hades rather than Doncaster or somewhere else is because otherwise people will confuse it with an actual location in the UK. By calling it something notional like Hades, it's obvious that it isn't a train to Manchester. It's going to be put away or to come up to the layout. So we're going to do a video focused on the time machine and Hades. Another thing we're going to be doing a video about is an update on the control panels. If you look back here, we have the original Sheffield panel, which we featured in 2 videos. When we started running operator testing with it, we found one fundamental flaw in the way that we designed routes, and another one which was an observation after we built it, which is we had to improve the way we wire it up inside, and so to do with the looming. So with the imminent arrival of Sheffield 2 panel, which is going to go down there, and then in front of you here we have the Wakefield main panel, and underneath the camera where you're standing now will be a mini panel for the operator controlling Alburys. We think we've got it cracked for that. This panel here has been in existence for as long as McKinley has. It started life as being the anchor panel when the computer terminal was sitting just in front of me here, and you could see the whole layout, and then this provided the train control operator the confidence of what was happening underneath the layout was in sequence with train controller. Since then, 2 or 3 things have happened. We've moved our desks out into the hall. We're no longer in this room. This layout is physically going to be out of date when we take the 2 lines here and cut that section here and go straight through to the extension. And we also have an operational problem that we have a set of cables which is as thick as my arm running around the perimeter of this room and to all the signal heads, and it's getting in the way of us being able to do essential maintenance. And so I've considered the idea of digitizing this in one of 2 forms. The first was to make it like the control panels in Sheffield and Wakefield. The downside of that is that this is for display purposes, and building those is expensive in time and materials. The second idea was, could we digitize this and display it and have it out where we're running our computers? And maybe we could also have a version in here showing the operators, because it's a very attractive display. Well, I'm not sure how we're going to do that, but over the next 6 months we'll be making progress in this area. David Evans and I will be working hard at it to see how we can come up with something which is revolutionary, and maybe even be able to share it out on the internet on operating nights. But that's an idea for another day. If I was a brave man and to predict where we'd be by the time we do a summer update next year, I'm quite confident that the final piece of the jigsaw in this room, which is Halifax, will be installed and operational. James and Martin are both working on that baseboard over at the MRS's workshop. And with that installed here, the dream of this incredible railway in here that was started by Steve Davis and it effectively follows his ideas all the way through. There's some nuance changes on the surface levels, but that's the original creation we started 5 years ago, will be technically complete. By that, what I mean is all the hard boards will be installed, the track will be laid, it'll be wired up, it'll be operational. What I don't envisage is connecting through to the existing layout at this stage. We want to run this layout in here and start to test and make sure that all the RFID, which is train tracking, works well. We also have to upgrade the existing layout. We have to refurbish the point motors. We have to revise the track plans in some of the stations, as we've covered already about London and Manchester. We haven't done one about Birmingham yet. We have a plan, but we have to do those changes before we connect up. I'm not sure when we will connect. I'm looking forward to it, but what I can see in the next 6 months is getting this layout in here technically complete. We won't scenic it, we won't ballast it. That won't happen until we know this thing is dependable, reliable, and works well. We make extensive use of the really useful 10-litre boxes, and we make extensive use of PVC strips, sort of hard plastic strips, to separate locomotives and coaches from each other, and that's been bugging me. And I've been looking around to try and find somebody that would make foam inlays for 10-litre boxes. And I came across a company called Train Sporters. The details will show in a second. And what they have done, if you show here, is they've made inserts for 10-litre boxes, and they've made 2 different kinds of inserts. One is with lots of slots this way, and this one for longer locomotives like Class 40s and big steam engines, 9Fs, that will go this way. And the beauty of their thinking here, which we've been talking about with them, is that the foam only comes up to half height, so it means you can get your fingers around the body properly rather than trying to dig it in. And with the single foam layer on top of the models here, it holds them in place. They do not move whether you tilt it this way, or this way. And so I just really thought it was worth giving them a mention because they've been so proactive. It's brilliant. I love good service. A lot of the viewers have been asking us to have more trains running, so we intend to make that happen. We spent the whole of yesterday videoing trains running around the existing layout. It's a lot more scenic and pretty than this one, which is just baseboard and track. So that should satisfy that need. We still owe you 4 videos in relating to the demise of steam and the ascent and then demise of diesels. That was going to be 4 sections there. We've got a couple of videos to still bring out, and hopefully we'll do a couple more weathering videos with Ivana. That seemed to be a real hit. Can't imagine why. So I think that pretty much covers everything we've got to do. So we better call it a day now and get on and make all these videos. There's quite a lot to do. Thank you for watching, and look forward to seeing you the next time.